I'm Sophia, and this is the ultimate podcast for celebrating all things wonderful about our beautiful island. Welcome to Destination Cyprus. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Destination Cyprus, a podcast by Cybarko. Now, as you know, we are responsible for the completion and the operation of a new destination here in Limassol, Trilogy. And actually today I've got a bit of a stiff neck and a sore wrist from sharing stories after what I would call a very successful first intimate tasting with none other than the curator of our very first restaurant and also the culinary director of the next one to come. Athinagoras, welcome to our studio.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation.
I was toying for a while with how I was going to introduce you because the list is endless. And for somebody who's not from the F&B industry, it's actually quite difficult to decipher between the CEO, the founder, the curator, the culinary director, the chef, the businessman. You do everything. And actually, now that I'm working with you, I can understand why you do everything and why people want your opinion on everything.
I do everything related to restaurants. I mean, I've born and raised in a family of restaurants. So even though if I have done several other things, I mean, I find my peace inside the kitchen. But making business with restaurant is a storm. So I need to reflect accordingly. And I do that. And I enjoy that. So no matter of the title, I do what I love. And this is restaurants in general. I don't have any title on that.
I find... the names attached to your name now. When I look at the list, when I look at Noima, Mykonos, Skorpios, Bacchanali in London, Meraki, you've created something of a dining experience that we're hoping, obviously, to bring to Trilogy, and that's why it was so important to us to have you on board. And I just wanted to get an understanding of how this journey began, because obviously when somebody hears that you're working with the likes of Richard Caring and you're in the UK, you're in Cancun, you're in Chicago. I'm watching your stories and I'm exhausted by how busy you are because you are still passionately investing in everything that you go to set up seems to have an equal measure of heart and soul. So I wanted to ask you how the journey began because from the research that I did, I got from judo and Vlachika
Correct.
to Trilogy in Limassol. So if you wouldn't mind just going way back to how the kitchen and cooking became a passion for you.
Yeah, it's all started like in the beginning of 2000s. And I was a judo former player for the national team. I was enjoying that as a fun and hobby in the beginning. Then all of a sudden turned to my, let's say, kind of a job when I was 16, working for the national team. But I had an accident, and then after 6 months laying on a bed, I decided that I have to do something else. Of course, I wasn't someone that I will follow the roots of, let's say, reading and studying and spending time. I was more an active person that I was loving to do things with the hands. I mean, I won't consider that fighting is something you're doing with the hands. You do it with your soul. So the second thing that make me always proud, happy, feel peaceful, it was cooking. My family, though, had some traditional tavernas in Vlachika. I mean, people, I think at least in Athens, they understand that this specific area called Vlachika is the name. It's not true. The area names by my father's restaurant. So the original name of the place is Dilo Fovaris. But after 54 years that my father opened the first restaurant there, everybody recognized this area as Vlachika because of his restaurant. So I was born and raised in this restaurant. Of course, as a father and son, we didn't have the relationship that it was a matchy thing. We had several conflicts, and especially when I announced him that I'm going to be a chef, he definitely decided that I'm going to be the follower of him, and I didn't. I started working there, I started understanding the food, but I was passionate for something different. So my journey starts very early. When I was 16, I've decided to move away, and with the force of my mother, I moved to Paris when I was 16 and a half. I started working and developing myself around really great chefs. Of course, I didn't have any connection, so I started from the school. I started in Ritz École. I was a good student in Hotel Ritz. Then I worked for the restaurant Espadon that at that time had 2-star Michelin and a very, very crafty chef called Michel Roth. It was unsustainable to live in Paris because unfortunately my French at that time was not that good.
Mm.
So I moved outside of Paris for a while. I was working in Sofitel Trocadero for 1-star Michelin. And when I finished my career there, I did the last target of my life for France at that time. I worked for Alain Ducasse, one of the best chefs in the world, with 25 Michelin stars in Plaza Athénée. But as every young boy, I fell in love with a girl and I moved back to Greece. And Greece at that time was under the crisis. So I've realized that whatever I've seen from the gloriness and the knowledge that I aimed when I was in Paris is not there. I'm not going to do the job as I want and as I teach it. And I learned from the chef. So there was no space for me. I decided to at least stay for a season. And at that time, the only really busy place, it was Mykonos. So I moved to Mykonos and I became a very young chef in a very small hotel. And at that name, we named up the hotel of the name Bilencu. It was a small, tiny hotel with 18 rooms outside from the town. I've tried to discover what they're doing in Mykonos at that time. And everybody was talking about fashions that are coming from abroad. Like one of the best restaurants at that time in Mykonos, 18 years back, was Nobu. In the very beginning, of course, Nobu is one of the best restaurants in the world, but wine in Cycladic island like Mykonos, one of the best restaurants is something with a Japanese fusion type of cuisine. I didn't understand. Then I asked for the second one, and then they name another one Italian, called Gola. So what's the third one? They name after the French one. I said, okay. So whatever I learn in Paris, I want to do it with the Greek food. Of course, no one get it in the very beginning. After 6 years, a big mortgage that I've taken to support the restaurant because I became a business partner with the owner. Still, it wasn't working well. I've decided to go to a TV show, Top Chef, just to support my restaurant. My aim was not the TV at all. I was never a TV guy. I was struggling to stay still at the camera for a long time. It was, I think,
Wow, I would have never thought that watching you now.
It's
Wow.
true.
Okay.
It's true, but this is something that you can learn. What you cannot learn is how you can support your restaurant. And I did everything I could do. So I think I did it well because after like 8 months, I became the winner of Top Chef. And life has changed a lot. Brightness came to my restaurant. Reservation was like breaking every single line on the phone. People that were coming, they're having queues outside of my little restaurant. I couldn't afford having all of them in one day. There was so many magazines writing about this tiny restaurant in Mykonos that I couldn't say that I do something exceptional. I was doing just my job, exactly the same one I've did before. So I've stayed there for 10 years and Bilencu became one of the most famous restaurants in Greece in general and abroad. But 9 years later, I decided that this is something unsustainable for many reasons. I was making great revenues. The restaurant was every day packed. The people that are really enjoying the experience, but they only have it for once. And it took me like several years to understand that fine dining Michelin level restaurants, they're everywhere in the world. And people, when they're coming in Greece, they're having completely different understanding what Greece and Greek food is representing. So I was talking with a language that no one can understand. I've tried many times. I've exposed myself in certain conditions to having one of the best restaurants there, but the people that are coming in, they're always enjoying different kind of food. They're coming to me for once. They're really enjoying whatever they did, and they've been honest with me. I've seen it in their eyes, but they never return because they're laying on the beach. They want some kalamarakia, fried squid, and they had great choriatiki, like Greek salad. Of course, you're in Greece. So that was a big concern for me. And yeah, 9 years later of Bill and Co, a big group of Germans, they approached me. They had created a fund, and they were already about to open a new club, restaurant, destination, blah, blah, blah. There was unmatchable things together. But for some reason, when I put them down on a table, I found the space to create something completely new, if they allow me. And they did. Their background was clubs, there was fashion, there was many other things, and the ingredients of the table, it was just complete when I was there because I was the only one so passionate about the restaurant. So every time I went in a conversation, I say, look, I want to do that and that. Say, do whatever you want. Say, are you serious? I'm gonna invest so many money here. I mean, you're gonna invest on me. Are you sure I'm allowed to do whatever I want? Say yes, as long as the food is tasty. It reminds you a bit of Greece, or is Greek in real, and you can afford the volume. So in the very beginning, where they were talking about volumes and volumes and volumes, I didn't understand what type of volumes they say. Because in Bill and Co and all my past, I was executing about 80 to 100 people a day. And on my Bill and Co, maximum 50, 55, 60 on a very busy day. But these guys, they were talking about 900 to 1,500 people a day.
Wow.
And that was something I haven't seen in my life. I didn't have any kind of experience. There was many nights I've lost my sleep by just trying to figure out the numbers and how I'm gonna aim to cook in this level. And in the end, a part of cook and feed people, make people happy and create something like a completely new wave. I was almost for 2 months struggling in my mind maybe to resign from the project because I didn't know if I can propose something completely different. So few days before the tasting starts, it stuck an idea on my mind that the only time I've seen someone cooking 1,000 portions a day and people leave happy the restaurant was my father. So after almost 12 to 14 years career in fine dining restaurant, I went back to him. I say apologies myself, but I need to understand what are you cooking in your restaurant in order to feed the people in my restaurant. And he was laughing so much. He said, really? You spent 10 plus years
It took you that long
abroad
to
of
figure
Greece,
it out.
and then you come back to open a very nice, good restaurant in Mykonos with my recipes. Get the fuck out of here. I say, no, really, just show me what you do. I'm not gonna copy anything. I just need to understand what are you doing. And he just said, look, spend as much of a time you want here. You've been here, you grow up here. Just learn one thing. Doesn't make sense that is a good looking dish because all your good looking dishes that look like an art, but I'm not sure if they make them happy. I cook authenticity. And this word just stuck on my head. So of course I stay like I spent 3-4 days with him, and I understand that people that are going constantly to his restaurant, and he served authenticity. There was no blasé garnishes, there was no sauces, there was nothing. Really good quality ingredients in volumes, always in season. Brutally throw them on a tray, serve them hot, with crusts, with burnt parts, with really burnt edges. Say, look, I'm gonna try and let's see. So I went back in Scorpius after studying the design that we were aiming to bring. So they have bring in Mykonos something that was very familiar at the time in Tulum, Mexico. Bohemian style on a beach coastal setup. So I've took all these chopping boards and I took these big bowls and I started cooking what I know. I mean, I started making the food from my father, in just a more bohemian setup.
Mm.
The group of people that they enjoy at that time, they were all our, let's say, managers, employees, CEOs, owners. They just blow away. I mean, wow, are you sure you can cook this food on this level? I say, guys, this is the food I grew up. Yeah, yeah, can you do that? I say, yes, I can do that. And is it going to be consistent? And there where it came that I didn't spend 10 years just to learn something that I'm not going to use, because my father was always doing the same thing by using 3, 4 people around him that he'd teach him for like 20 years. But I was a chef, a crafted one, that I've studied how you can set up a proper business to make money. So I went back in the kitchen, I took his recipe, and for first time in life, I had a recipe of his, recipes, but that was never recorded. So consistently, I took out the sauce lavolemono, not the one that say you put lemoni and some oil and you do lavolemono. I say no, you don't do that. You do 3 types of different oil. You use mustard, you use oregano, you have a specific salt you always use, and the lemons you use it's different quantity in the winter and different in the summer. And I've started like allocate every single ingredient and place it on a book. So I hire people, I start teaching them. They were very surprised. Majority of the people I hired at that time, they were like, "What, are you sure? You're gonna serve taverna food on a different setup?" And I did it. And a year later, it was almost like a bomb explodes. Everybody was writing about the food of Scorpios, that they can understand who came out with this idea that the Greek food can be so sexy. Of course, I implement things that no one did before, like I did tzatziki with avocado. Because I say, look, we're in a beach club. We need a guacamole, but it doesn't fit with my concept. What we have like guacamole? Tzatziki. Okay, let's do it with avocado. And the same thing I did with the lamb. Like we do lamb, and in Mexico they do lamb. Good, but they do it barbacoa with beautiful crust of spices, and I did the spices, and I spin the lamb like souvlas. Great, people they loved it. And the game starts, and having that great words from people and being so busy sometimes during winter, I was always traveling and seeing things that made the food even better and more innovative, more innovative. So it came the time of a COVID, and COVID hit exactly what I wasn't experienced enough. I was already successful, the restaurant was busy, and I was ready to do my next steps. And I have, signed a couple of menus around the world because people they came there and say, look, we need something, not a copy of Scorpio, but something that you do. And I had so many dreams to expand the Greek, style of food as recipes, individual recipes in restaurants, fine dining taverna. And during COVID, everybody around us lost so much money and had such a depression, and I started firing people. That was the most awful part of my life. I remember my wife coming in my bedroom saying, look, if the kids see you again crying, just step out of the house and go somewhere. You need to change your lifestyle. It's done. You cannot change it. It's a world. So I started reading, and I started understanding what's the history of Greece and what's described the Greek food in general. When we came out of the COVID, I was not sure that I'm gonna make it again because so many people they resigned. They didn't want to see me again. They just took an opportunity in Dubai. So I started doing some dinners with my old partners and the old people, and we all enjoy one thing, that we eat again, not as a family or as a company. We eat large plates and we share our food from the same plate. And the food was not that important, but the feelings that we had, that we again communicate and we're social and we're in one table and we share wine and food from the same plate, that was the biggest thing at that time. Another idea came again in my mind. I said, that's exactly, I didn't do it before. I was serving individual portions. Now we're gonna open up Scorpios and we're gonna do large celebrated dishes, sharing food, and I'm gonna have only sharing food. And my partner said, "What do you mean you're not gonna have a pasta?" for individual use. What do you mean? I mean, every single thing we're gonna have in Scorpio is gonna be large, but it's overwhelming. I say no. It's a concept. This is what people is missing. So again, they say yes. They trust me. 4 years later, the biggest success, anything, it has been done on a beach restaurant. We've been awarded multiple times, and everybody was talking about who is the genius that understands that the food needs to be shareable. So I've seen Scorpio's copy, I don't know in how many countries. I've seen my dishes that I was posting in Instagram and Facebook at that time everywhere, and was not mine. I mean, people, they get influenced by that, wave. And then there was an announcement of, look, Athinagoras, everything went great, but we multiply our value by 19 times, so we're selling our shares. Do you continue with the company? I say, yeah, I will continue until the end of the summer, and this is my resignation letter. And I will see what I'm doing in life. And they freak out. Because something I didn't know, it was that part of the deal is that I'm staying in Scorpios and I grow up Scorpios and I expand Scorpios. So a few days later, after I announced my resignation, they came there with investors. At that time, it was Richard Kering at Soho House. He's still there, but he's not a decision maker. Say, look, you're leaving. You don't want to meet me. You don't want to introduce yourself to me. What's wrong with me? Say, nothing with you. I mean, the team that they did Scorpio is great and bright. They're out. Why I should stay? And, he said, no, they're not completely out. They will run the thing. I mean, we can discuss your salary. It's not about the salary thing. I can make money. I know how to make money. It's about working with the same team, that they trust me, but they really trust me, that they invest in my ideas, and we make something completely new. And I'm young. Why I should stay here? Say, look, no matter what you have in mind, please stay with us. And if you have any dreams, we can afford your dreams. I say, look, guys, I'm not really into continue with Scorpios because I want to make my own restaurant. And I have something very specific in mind. And, I can find investors. I'm not sure, in the level of where I want it, but I can find some investors. They say, look, bring the idea. And really, I mean, we swear to God, we're not going to change anything. So I had the idea of a nice backyard somewhere in Mykonos that there's no view to the sea. There's no this touristic style of food with kalamarakia and choriatiki. It's again something like Greece, but Greece of today. Like the garden that I want to have in my house and the view I have about Greek food, that is a global view. I can combine recipes that come from France and still looking Greek because it's Mediterranean. I mean, for me, Greek food in general, and I'm not saying that because I'm Greek, right now is one of the biggest fashion in the world because it's sexy itself. It's vegetables, it's proteins that they've been cooking in open fire with a bit of salt. I think that we have some of the most amazing vegetarian recipes. If you look into Lavera of Greece, I think is the most vegan recipes in the world. So that's why we became a fashion. It's not me. In general, there was a hidden treasure that no one before just explored it because it was common. We come in Greece from moussaka and souvlaki. No. You come in Greece because if you make a pasta with zucchini and feta and you drizzle a bit of oil and lemon zest, this is Greek food. Still, it's not only macaroni making bolognese. You don't copy another country. You create your own destination. So I did the meeting with them. I exposed them the idea. We found the building. I found the building because I had sources. I was ready to do my next step. And during the board meeting, they said yes, 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 yes. So guys, where is the no? Because this is almost like 6.5 million investment. As long as you bring the money back to it. So okay, I see the bite. Now I have to go for some fishing. So yes, make sure that you bring some big fish back. So year number one, I wear my apron again because, of course, I was a successful chef of Scorpios. I had experienced chefs. I was not that much in the kitchen. So I did myself again a chef. I went in the morning, even though if I was an investor and the owner of the place, every morning I was cooking the first year. Every morning I was running the shift. Every morning I was briefing the people. And I was standing in front of my open kitchen, ready for judgment. But Noema, for some reason, it was the most emotion time of my life. People, whether working for me for the last 10 years, and people whether working for me only for a few months, they respect the fact that I was leaving my house in the morning till late in the night. My baby kids at that time, they were asking for me, and my wife were bringing them in the restaurant. I was literally the whole day in Minoema. But I think I give in Noema the best of my craft with simplicity, and people, they just say, look, now we had a very favorite spot, but we think now for some reason, even though if you didn't copy yourself, this is your restaurant. And if you ask me now that I'm 40, which is the restaurant that describes you the more from anything you have done, I think Noema it is. Noema describes exactly the reduction of my life, the way of seeing Greek food in general, and the way of seeing in general socializations in restaurants. I hate people go on a tie shoot feeling that they're gonna be overpaying an experience that they're not gonna enjoy enough. And girls, they always feeling tight and they're not dancing because they have a very
Self-conscious.
fine dining experience.
Yeah.
What's that? I don't want that. Noema is exactly that. It's always sexy. It's always vibrant. It's a bit more salty and more spicy. It's a bit more lemony. People, they feel free to just cheer glasses and celebrate moments. And for me, every night when they say what type of your tea, what type of a celebration you're doing in Noema, I say I do the most fashionable and modern panigiri. Because if you go in a panigiri in Cycladic Island, you have this feeling. And this is exactly what I'm doing. And now is a definitely one of the concepts that many people are trying to copy. They try to bring the feeling. I've seen Greek chefs, people that I grew up with them, just copying the style of my restaurants because they found it a great idea. And this is where almost the story of expansion starts. And it's only 4 years back that I start becoming more of a pilot rather than a chef. I mean, people, they came so
You need
often.
to be buying a plane now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's saying that. I mean, after Noema opening, and still I was struggling with the revenue and the break-even point and blah, blah, blah. Myself, I was making money just by expanding the idea of having like more and more Greek new modern restaurants abroad. So I found great people in Chicago that they trust me the same way, young and ambitious. They allow me to do exactly what I want. We designed every single detail of Lira back in the days together. They didn't even ask me, can we just place a table different style? No, whatever you want, chef. So we opened Lira. Lira was another success, huge success. I mean, we almost doubled our revenue the first year. We did our second and our third restaurant there, and then we did a bar. The same thing happened in London because Richard, who was the main owner of Noema and, of course, one of the main investors in Scorpio, said, look, you do so much restaurant around the world, you should do one in London. So he did Bacchanalia, a huge investment in the middle of Mayfair, and he trusted me for that. Last year, I did another restaurant inside of the institution called Annabelle, that the British people expect that they're going to find some more British food. So I did some more Mediterranean recipes, and I'm located there as well. I found a great partner, a very strong man. I think he's a king of entertainment in Mexico. And we did my first Cultura in Cancun. I've did expansion with as a consultant in Singapore, in Turkey, and now in Cyprus. So there's many stories of
Oh my word.
there's many stories of fun and depression as well in between, because the last 2 years I was struggling with my health after 130 flights a year. I had heart issues. I had body issues. My kids, they didn't hug me anymore. But right now, I think that majority of the people that are around me, there are not many, but these people that are around me, they respect whatever I have in mind. I don't do that just for money, because it would be much, much easier to sell one of my concepts in Dubai, in Qatar, in Riyadh, where I can triple size my money there and just fly for 3 hours. I have a different vision for Greek food. I feel that Greek food is belong to a different destination that there was before. And I think that whatever I say and I do, and I always drive by the example, I'm the one who's first traveling, cooking, trying to inspire people. Is just a whistle. Is a tiny whistle. In Greece or in Cyprus, if people they just wake up and they became doers, they can be creative in anything they do. Because if you've put just effort and passion, whatever you do, you can change it. Just don't be lazy enough to be served the food or to serve an idea that it is what it is. I don't really believe on that. I was never believe that. Every time that they serve me something, back in the days when I was fighting, they say, look, this is the technique and you should do it like this. Why? This is for you, a good technique. I'm on 100 kilos. I have a different swap. I can do things. And the same thing happening to the kitchen. I say, my father saying to me, look, this is the lamp. So what do you mean this is the lamp? Have you cooked the lamp in another way around? Say, no, I will do. This is Greek salad. Why? What is Greek salad in general? You chop tomatoes and cucumbers is Greek salad? Greek salad is a very unique thing. You can find it in New York in 50 different versions. Why I should have the same Greek salad and aim my name as a chef, a crafted one with the same Greek salad that someone else that knows anything about Greece serves? Greek salad, it has amazing complexity, has a really nice temperature tomato that never been fridged, has a crispy cold cucumber, has the best quality of 0.3 olive oil, has a specific feta that is not pasteurized, has the best wild oregano, and the complexity of all of this, it's umami, it's just mouth-watering. So don't see the things they serve you. You don't buy a box. They serve you something, just be humble enough of yourself, even though if you are someone, and see whatever you've been served in 360. Go around, study on it. Even though if you don't have time, many times in my life I didn't have the luxury of time. But before I sleep, I was always dreaming the idea of changing the common. And I think this is what it's been missing from the Greek food in general, or from the food in general. Back in the days, people, they've been made it by iron. They've been crafted, they've been creative on the same time that they had a family, they were traveling. And we're very vanilla nowadays. We have to do a job for 8 hours. We hope that we're good enough and someone will pay us enough money. I haven't stuck in these ideas. I don't want anyone pay me any money. I'm capable enough to create teams, ideas, and projects that I can pay myself and my partners. And if they don't want to be involved in this thing, I can do it myself, and then someone else will be involved. So this is the whole thing. I mean, when you ask me if I'm a chef, yes, I still enjoy the title of a chef. But I think chefs, they're stuck in their kitchen just seeing what they're doing themselves, and they don't really enjoy the reactions of their guests, and they're never seeing the restrooms if they're clean enough, and they never see on the makeup of the hostess and the smile if she's humble enough, even though if she's gorgeous, and they're never seeing if the smells from the kitchen goes out and disturbs the ambience, and they never seeing if the waiters, they wear a really big watch that it's quite cheesy, and they never seeing details. They never look after the emails. They never look after the Google comments. They don't really care. They seeing if the tomato is good, if the fillet is good. I have different feelings, and I'm conscious about many things. So that's what separates me of, let's say, being only a chef that I love.
I don't think anybody has shut Sophia up for that long
Okay.
ever in my life, because there's something so like raw and authentic about your storytelling. And the amazing thing is in this podcast that I endeavor to get to know somebody and their sector and their contribution to the community and to Cyprus. And so much about your person and your values and the way you work and your ideas and your vision has just been so beautifully presented there. What an amazing journey. I mean, I didn't know for a start that you started at 16. That's a huge hats off, because I mean, in Cyprus, I'm not going to say we're spoiled, but it's a very rare thing. I have an English mother, so of course I know all about, being sent off for a summer job when I was at school. I was doing things that other kids in my circle weren't doing because my mother wanted, it was the British way. She was a bit more hard than my father. My dad was happy to spoil me. But one thing you said in that whole story that stuck with me was that turning point with the accolade and the recognition, and how brutally sad it is that, yes, some talent, unless they get that, because I do very much believe that we create our own fate and our own luck, but that recognition, the status that got the spotlight on you and then gave you the ability and the credibility to show your talent, what a pivotal moment, I guess, because that's when everybody started to have the confidence to say yes, 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 yes. It sounds like such a fantastic, I think you would have done it anyway. I have no doubt that you would have done it anyway. But when did the whole chef celebrity thing start? Because I'm trying to think, was it Marco Pierre White? Was it Gordon Ramsay? There were all these TV shows.
I mean, Gordon Ramsay, it used to be one of the students of Marco Pierre White. Way back, there were many celebrity chefs, such as Escoffier and Joël Robuchon, and all these type of French chefs that they became so famous. And they moved to New York. So Zanzos was one of the most famous chefs in the world. And Wolfgang Pack, I mean, he's one of the Oscar chefs in the world. But I wasn't aiming for that type of celebration. I mean, celebrities are good. And I remember my chef, every time that they called me a celebrity, after Top Chef specifically, it was exactly the moment I was saying, get out of the glass, get out of TV. I was having my TV show that it was going so well. And the only reason I was kept it for 1 year, I was needing the money to reinvest them on my restaurants. And everybody was saying, you're doing great in front of the screen. Why you don't continue? I say, no. I'm not a TV presenter. I'm a chef. And if you want to see, grab any of these TV chefs and put it next to him. You will see how crafted I am. I'm not a TV chef. Say, well, yeah, you do it, but you can do that. I say, no. I have a different focus. And that was the thing that I think even more brought me on the line to see if I can do it. I can do it in the small volume in Belencourt, but I need to prove myself that I can do it in a bigger volume. And it was a constantly chaser in my mind that I have to do it. And of course, I was never hide my partner in life, like Angie, my wife. She changed anything I had in mind, because there are many things that stacks you on your bed or stacks you on the couch. Just reconsider if you've done enough. And I did enough for my age when I met her. And then she all of a sudden say, look, I'm here for you. You have dreams. Go. I say, are you sure we have babies? No, go. It's not enough for you. Greece is not enough for you. I say, really, we're doing so well. We have a great life. We have great investments. She say, no. And every time, everybody say, oh, you must have your wife complaining that you fly so much. No, she's an angel. She was always packing my bag. She was always making my schedule. She was always being honest with me that, look, this project is not sharp enough. You should go back and remake it. Are you happy for that? She was almost my coacher, There's many people that they almost sacrifice their careers to help mine. I mean, like, such as Nikitas Pyrgis and Mike Kikis and Evgenios and all these people that are working for me the last 15 years, that they run my restaurant when I'm not there. I mean, I remember seeing Nikitas and Michalis flying even more than I do because they won't let me down. And this is the only word I can find. These people, they're really the true story behind the story you've listened now, but many people, they don't say that. No, I think the key partner of whatever I did, it was my wife, because she was always there for me, supporting me in the most dark days I had. And of course, the people that are working with me, they're not just employees or partners. These people, they are really having the same exactly mentality that I have. They are looking at the same vision that I have. And when they say to me, you have a great team, I say, I don't have a team. Team is a different thing. This is my family, that I know them before I create my real family. And this is my foundation. Because whoever is coming inside my foundation is became a different person. They came with an attitude and being really strong and tough. And they go out professional, humble, nice people that they want to change the destiny of Greek food. So it's not just one or two people. It's a teamwork behind a vision that I had. I mean, everybody celebrates me of what I did in Scorpios. I didn't did it myself. There is a 55 people team behind me that they work constantly day and night when I'm not there. We have a 27 people team that they work overnight just to having my kitchen ready in the morning. How I can say thank you for something that I'm not doing myself? It's always a team job that hits targets and break records. It's not only one. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm the face, but I'm not alone.
I think that word vision is so key, and I think everybody who's come to this podcast, it's one of the things that definitely I would say is a common thread between the entrepreneurs and the people who've really pushed ahead with their ideas and done something great that's changed lives, not just for them, but obviously the people that they're serving or offering something to. And yeah, I mean, in terms of sort of the ethos, the culture, I can see it just having worked with you for the short time that I have, because I knew nothing about the food and beverage industry. But the attention to detail you go into, I never thought of dining as an experience, which sounds like such a simple thing, but it really isn't. When I came to Neuma and I saw how I'm greeted and how the waiter gets down next to you to explain the menu. Like everything seems so well thought out and theatrical, but natural. It doesn't feel forced. And that kind of atmosphere that you're in, combined with the food, I'm blown away by the process of how you put it together. But I can see now, having heard your story, that it's just second nature to you, which feels part and parcel of why there's so much heart and soul in everything that you're putting your heart into now.
It always misses a proudness for majority of the people that don't succeed in their career or in their life. For some reason, they take the decision to do something and then all of a sudden they're not proud about that. And I don't believe in that. Even if I was doing a completely different job, I would ask for myself every morning in the mirror that, am I proud that I'm wearing my apron or I'm wearing my trousers and I go somewhere, or I just do it for some money? I mean, this is the reason I'm not doing different kind of business. They always ask me, do you want to invest in something else? I say, no. But restaurants are one of the most riskiest business in the world right now. We're working for 15% of profit. And so why you still only constantly you doing that? Say, because I really believe in what I do. And I'm so proud. And what I'm aiming to do through my vision is that I want to make these young people proud that they every day giving the best of their time and the best of their life to give an experience to someone. It's not just food. If you go out in this world, there are so many people that are cooking good that you cannot believe it. It was so many times in my life that I was somewhere, not in a restaurant, maybe in a canteen, in a junk food corner, that I've seen food coming out with so much soul that I couldn't believe that I cannot cook this way. But that's the one part. Do you really go out to have food? No.
No, I
You go
loved your
out to
story about the
so
company and the sharing. That really hit home.
you go out to socialize
Yeah.
yourself, to have an experience, even though if experience sounds like I'm gonna do a bungee jumping. No,
No.
you're not gonna do anything. You're just going out, and even if you are moody, you're gonna have a good time. That's my goal. I really, really respect the time who someone comes to my table and say, look, you will be responsible because I'm gonna propose to her tonight.
Oh.
And everybody say, oh, we have another proposal. No, this is a moment of life that out of respect come to you. So don't mess it up. Make that night bright as it has to be. It's not a simple thing.
Yeah.
So moments of people for me is something that it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. I remember myself like if something happened bad in the restaurants that I couldn't sleep. And I remember so many times when Adi say, you need to go sleep. I say, we just wake up. No, I just wake up. You didn't sleep at all. Because before the openings of Bacchanalia, before the openings of Noema, especially before the opening of Scorpios, for weeks, I was seeing in my dreams, or I was trying to sleep, and I was making the scenario of all the sequence of the service again and again, again and again. I was seeing every single detail, every single mistake, and I was drawing on a paper. And the next morning, I was just participating on a show that I have seen the night before. And, people say, how you know that? That we're not going to have an electricity? I knew it. How you know that we need another one on the dishwashing? I knew it. Why you know that we need extra salt on this dish? See, I see it. I can feel that. How? See, I've seen it. I live for that. I love that. It's my passion. I'm a hospitable person in general. It's not that I execute one of the jobs that hospitality has. So that's the thing. Nowadays, people that are working in hospitality and they're not hospitable themselves.
Well, that was going to bring me to my next question, because there's obviously quite an inherent problem finding good people in the industry now. So for somebody like you who's so passionate and who genuinely wants to teach and have this culture of community with your family, not your team, your family, how on earth do you cope with not finding the right people and the right standards? Is that really, that must beat down on your mental health as well, because your vision, how can it be made a reality if you don't find the people?
That's the reason the last, let's say, 9-10 months of my life, I have rejected any single proposal comes on my portfolio. And some of them, they are really good. People, they say, how many countries you have now? Where are you going to expand? Say, I'm not going to expand anymore. I'm just going to stack consistent on the ones I have. I'm going to make them even more bright, more sharp, because right now I feel that there is a lack of really hospitable people. Has nothing to do with service. For me, service, whatever can describe this world, is like taking one glass from position A to position B.
Yeah.
This is service, and unfortunately, this is the standards that the schools and the restaurants teach to people of hospitality.
The bare minimum,
No.
yeah.
For me, is a pampering. I want to know if the glass is smelling from the washing process. I want to know if the temperature of the water is correct. And if my guest, before he receives the water, he's in a good mood. If he wants lime or lemon, if he wants still or sparkling, or if he wants that I change his glass because he's already warm. If he wants anything around his table to change because he's going to have an experience. So unfortunately, I cannot teach these things. It's certain things that you have it or you don't have it, or if you're ready to be taught, because many people, they say, all these details is necessary. I say, yes, all these details is necessary. And unfortunately, I have to pay you as well, because I'm teaching you and you are not ready to listen. What I'm telling is not just a restaurant experience. This is a sequence. This is a theatrical moment. You will act for the next 4 hours on a floor that all lights will be on you. They say, no, 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 it's just food. Say, no, food, trust me, I will make sure that comes out well. But it's not just food. I need your sexiness. I need your sharp way of looking at things. I need your smile. I need your pampering feelings on your clients, and to look after even the moment they just step out from the table, because maybe they forgot a bag, and it's not necessarily something that needs to happen to come back and grab it. Just run behind them and give them the bag. They will remember your name, and they will be very proud that they give you a tip.
And you know all of this because you've done it. You've kind of climbed the ladder. So I guess you have a bird's eye view.
Yes, but I have a list that I always update it in every opening.
Really?
I have a list of 400 ticks
Wow.
before you open a restaurant. And sometimes, we go in markets like Mexico that we cannot aim not even 200 of these ticks. And we have restaurants that we have aimed more than 400, like Noema or Bacchanalia. But again, there was back in the days when I was first in London that I met Raphael, who was the executive chef patron of one of my favorite restaurants, La Petite Maison. And when I see him, I say, Raphael, you're still in the kitchen. He say, you are not? I say, yes, I am. But not that often you are, and you are a millionaire. I say, yes. Unfortunately, I see that your restaurant will be successful. I say, why you say unfortunately? I say, I wouldn't say that to someone that I don't respect, but I respect you. And at that time, I was, I think, 28, 30 years old. I say, thank you for respecting me, but why you say that? I say, because when you have a very successful restaurant, unfortunately, it's having someone that he's really an idiot, and you need to repeat yourself every single day, 365, 24 hours a day. So every day you're going to go in your successful restaurant and you're going to repeat yourself. And again,
frustration.
You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be angry. You're going to break glasses. No one will understand why.
Because you
and
care,
you have to repeat it. Say, at that time I say, Raphael, come on. You overdo it. Say, no, trust me. And he was right.
Really?
Yeah. When I opened my first restaurants abroad, especially in cities like Riyadh, Mexico, I've seen people they didn't get anything of what I teach them for weeks. And every morning when I was going in the restaurant, I have to say exactly the same things again
wow.
and again and again. And the restaurant were successful, packed, but I have to say the same things every time. This is the life of a restaurateur. I mean, whoever is calling me in a different title, as you said, I don't accept the title. I love the title restaurateur. I create restaurants.
Okay.
I don't care if I'm the guy who's making the plates or the dishwasher. I'm the one of them.
You see, you hit the nail on the head, because I couldn't decide what I could relate mostly to you, because you're none of those things. Regardless of what position you're in, you're doing the restaurateur thing anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have to obviously now shift to Cyprus, because after everything you've said, I'm a little bit concerned about the crockery, the plates and the glasses at Trilogy. Let's talk a little bit about your journey to Cyprus. So after all of that, I mean, when you came on our radar, I know that it was really important to us that we did something different for Trilogy. And as a Limassolian, I can say that yes, there are great places in isolation in various spots all over the city, but we finally had this architectural gem, a sky-rise development on the seafront, and we thought, we've got 7,000 square meters, a plaza. We need a vision for the whole thing. And something that I think was entirely unexpected that is so great about the team that's come on board, because we've got you there, the Clumsies have come for the cocktails. We've engaged with Lambs and Lions as well on the design of one of the restaurants. We've got the expertise of Lani Entertainment and all the other people there. It's that you have actually been integral in ways that we weren't aware of. For me, for example, I didn't know that a chef will bring all this other know-how to the bigger picture. So what was the driver for you? Because you were already here with Scale in Nicosia, weren't you? So what was the pull for Cyprus?
I haven't got a great experience from Limassol, apart of sometimes I was cooking for the embassy of France because they know my background in Paris. But any time I was coming in Limassol, for some reason I was feeling that they just buy brands like they buy a bag.
Yeah.
So I was seeing all these luxurious, like now they are competitors. I don't need to eat, don't even say the names. But I've seen like luxury restaurants from London, from Dubai, from New York, just visiting Limassol, doing whatever they do there, and they expect it to be successful. But I'm not working this way, and that's the reason that I didn't continue to see the market. I've seen that they just buying whatever they is glossy and they put it in luxurious, nice 5-star hotels, and they trying to make it successful. I work the other way around. I totally believe that the local market is very interesting. They haven't done anything that is comfort. They're looking in the very luxurious part of the fine dining destinations, but they're not ready to aim for that. So I'm bringing something super comfort with a touch of luxury in the way of living and not in the way of eating. And I'm trying to make it as much humble as I can. Even though if I have opened only the first one, that is a meze restaurant, a meze bar, that people can share food like they're doing in any taverna in Cyprus. Small, nice dips. Okay, the look and feel is not the same. They're looking different, but this is the feeling. Eat with your hands.
We
Share,
did.
Good. Share your food. Put extra lime and lemon that you do in Cyprus. Having some seftalias or kebab from the grill. This is my first restaurant, and when we're gonna go to the second one, fire for me is the key element that I was aiming to add in the Oris project. And the reason for that is because every time that someone from Cyprus calling me, say, when you gonna come in Cyprus to make some souvlas together? Say, you do anything else in Cyprus, or that's the national sport? Every time you invite me, you call me for souvlas. I say, so I cannot really make a restaurant without a big fire. So I've did the meze bar, Musa, and now for my big, let's say, baby, I'm expecting nothing less of having the fire in the center of the restaurant, that I do my style souvlas. And I hope that they're gonna love it. I mean, I'm not gonna present any kind of fine dining concept. I just leave that to my competition and to the very respected restaurant that they're already existing in Limassol. And I'm here to represent them, their country. I mean, I'm here to cook exactly what you're cooking in your souvla Sundays, Saturdays. I mean, weddings. I've seen weddings of 1,000 people having arni and lamb, and this is exactly what I'm gonna do in Oris, in a different lifestyle, in a different setting, in a different crockery. I think this is what's missing from Cyprus.
Yeah.
I see all this beautiful Cypriot global audience coming in Mykonos and London, and they're the best clientele. They enjoy every single moment of my restaurants. And all of a sudden, when they're coming in Cyprus, they criticize and they judge these restaurants so badly because they are not sure if they're fitting in their country. I'm not sure that I'm not going to bring any of my restaurants. I'm creating a restaurant from their traditions. I'm creating restaurants with Cyprus people, for Cyprus people. So I hope they're going to enjoy it. That's a part of my other, let's say, identity as a businessman that can either succeed, either fail. I feel that it's going to succeed, but, there is time ahead of me.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Look, I don't hide this on the podcast. I'm 47 and I genuinely don't feel I have a place where I can go in my hometown of Limassol where I can pitch up in my I'm not going to say my jeans and my trainers, but I'm not very into doing myself up just to go out for dinner. I want to go somewhere comfortable with good company. I want to go somewhere with nice dim lighting. I want to go somewhere with a cool vibe and nice music where I'm going to have nice food, but I'm also going to be able to make a night of it because I would like to sit at a bar, have a drink, look at people, chat to people, have fun, and feel as if I'm not yet done with clubbing and going out because I'm 47. I'm not dead yet. But I also don't want to go to a club. So for me, finally, as a single woman in her 40s, please, can I have a place I can go, eat well, maybe shake a little bit by my stool, have my cocktails, and feel as if I've had a good night out the next morning. And that's what we've been missing. So I'm very excited. I'm going to write my name on one of the stools at Oris.
You describe exactly myself. No, I'm not single. I'm not 47, I'm 40. But unfortunately, after living 18 years in Mykonos, I'm not someone who's going to enjoy a night out and then the next morning run a financial meeting about a new opening. So it's impossible. But I never go in very boring, fine dining restaurants where they explain me the food for 20 minutes and I cannot even look at my wife's
Your
eyes.
food, this big.
So people that will judge me as, you're going to make a steakhouse? No. But sometimes I want to go out, have a very good cocktail, then a nice bottle of wine, and a very good cooked steak with some salads, and my wife has a chicken. So why the obvious is not that common anymore? And this is what surprised me many times with the good restaurants. So guys, just serve a very good chicken, a very good steak, and people, they will appreciate it. Don't just throw things on the table to impress them. They can be impressed by the way you treat them, the way that the service has been executed, how smart is the music or the way that the people are get dressing, but not the food. People they don't want really
Fancy.
jokes with their food. And this is something that I was always seeing in my Cyprus audience in London, that they of course visit any of the restaurants around the neighbor, but then when they come in my restaurant, they say, "Ooh, someone who's cooking what we want to eat." I say, "Really, guys? What do you want to eat? Real food?" I say, "Okay." And now this is how the idea born about Cyprus, that I'm not gonna represent Cyprus with a cheesy kind of a concept. I want a concept that has authenticity in the experience. So food that is being cooked in fire, such as even the traditional souvlas and steaks and chickens. Then when it comes to drinks, I think that as Greeks, we're proud for only one bar. Right now we have more, but back in the days, the number one bar that scaled up itself to the 10 bars in the world, it was Clamsis. I enjoy Clamsis in Athens, so why not bring Clamsis with me here in Cyprus? And when it comes to the design, one of the key people who made my restaurants unexpectedly beautiful, even though it has a charisma to piss me off many times, is Michael. And I brought Michael with me. So Lambs and Lions, I think that they will present something in Oris that people, they haven't seen before. And someone will hear to me and say, "Do you have a high fly?" No. I'm the owner and chef of Noema the last 4 years, and every single day that I enter my restaurant, I say, how beautiful this is place. And thanks to Michael, that, the way of putting salt and pepper on his restaurants, there's only few people in this world that they can do it.
I'm beaming with excitement. I'm so proud and so grateful really to be involved in this project. And I've learned so much already about a sector that I knew nothing about. And I find people are actually a little bit, they are more demanding now. But what you said is very on point, that when you start to eat more simple food, you start to taste it and appreciate it more. Now that I messed around with keto at some point, and when I learned just to have my meat and my fish with my vegetables and my garnish, I was like, oh, actually, I don't really need all the sauces and the pastas and the this and the that. So it's an interesting philosophy that I think people are turning back to it.
It's not turning, it's the lifestyle we're having. imagine going in your office like 8 o'clock in the morning and leaving from your office around 5. Then you have some time maybe for a training or chill out with your family. Do you really want to have a heavy pasta and an extra sweet dessert? How are you going to sleep? How moody are you going to be in the next day? How often you going to visit this restaurant? You want a nutritious, interesting food that you know that it's healthy because the sources of the ingredients are correct and the chefs behind the bar, they know exactly what they're cooking. And if you just have this simple, great experience, you're going to visit again and again and you're never going to get bored. Classics, they're never boring. What is boring is the new fashions that comes and go.
Trends.
Yeah, I mean, I remember myself staying in the middle of Athens and the options I have to go out, it was like 40 Japanese restaurants, 10 Chinese, 20 Italians, and few nice, simple Greek or other Mediterranean restaurants. Nowadays, after the fashion that we bring, thanks God, to the world, in Mykonos, in Santorini, all these people now, right now, they're opening Mediterranean, vegetarian, simple restaurants that they serve authenticity, grilled meat or grilled fish, simple, nice, alive lobsters, scampis, that people they want to have them. And for me, this is unique. And you know, it's fun because this is the obvious in Greece and in Europe in general. But if you do that for any kind of reason, and I did it in Japan, in China, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Mexico, they call this type of food exotic. Even though for us the sushi is exotic, for them this simplicity, it's an exotic thing. And this is what we want to do. I'm not gonna serve anything that people they haven't seen before in life. I'm gonna try to make for them a grilled chicken the way that they have never eat a grilled chicken. I'm gonna cook a steak, but maybe the best steak they have had. So this is what we're aiming to doing.
Do you cook at home? Because I want to, obviously, you touched a little bit on the work-life balance, and I've met Angie, and I think it's so beautiful when people don't compromise in relationships. Some of the most successful relationships I've seen around me are people who give each other that space to be the best versions of themselves. So I'm just curious about the home environment. Are you the cook?
Unfortunately, I'm the cook for other reason because that was the deal in the very beginning. She was one of the most beautiful women I've seen in my life. Thanks God, she loved me and she married me, but she was never cooking. So from day one, I was cooking home. Right now, I'm traveling a lot, so she try herself, or we have good deliveries. But I'm saying unfortunately because the last 3-4 years we create a professional kitchen inside our home because I didn't want to be outside of my house for the days I spent in Greece. So all my chefs they come in my professional kitchen
Great.
in the house and they get training by me inside the house. So Angie is always there. Of course, she has her portion, she has her opinion, but the deal between the two of us it was that I will always cook for you, and you don't need to learn not even to cook pasta. And I mean that. I mean, I remember myself like 15 years back when I was dating a girl and she was trying to impress me with her skills in cooking.
Oh,
I
no.
find it so bad. And the house was smelling onion
Oh, dear.
and I was on a date. So with Angie, thanks God, we never end up on this situation. She was always enjoying my food. And as a answer on your question, yes, even though if I didn't have my kitchen in the kitchen I have right now, the professional kitchen, I love treat people and cook for them because as I told you, like many chefs they don't, but they for some reason they say that this is their job. For me, cooking is not my job. Cooking is the way I express myself. Unfortunately, I cannot write well something. I cannot paint anything. But when I have feelings, I cook. So I describe myself by cooking.
Would you call it an art?
I don't really believe in the idea of the art because nowadays the youngest people they say, "Look, I'm a chef, that I'm an artist," and I was always saying bullshits. You are an artist if you execute your craft in 1,000 people, and then you are an artist for some reason. But I feel that our job is first a craft, and then if you're really on a certain level, yeah, maybe you can describe yourself as an artist, but I don't describe myself as an artist. I just express myself by cooking. This is what I was doing from when I was a kid, when I was a fighter, and later on when I became a chef. Even though there's days that I wear a suit and I'm outside in my restaurants, and then later on I go in the kitchen and say, can we cook 2 dishes because I feel that I didn't like the pasta today or I didn't like the steak. And I relax. I'm on the mood that I was never before. And some other people, they chill by fishing or listening to music. I chill when I see the
Your
fire in
zone.
front of me,
Nice.
when I mix ingredients, when I taste, and when I see the smiles in the face of the people that they have a bite from my food. It's the best time of my life. I mean, still, like after 24 years, I
That's
enjoy this
amazing.
moment.
I remember when we were doing the tastings to choose the menus for Musa and Doris, it was absolutely pointless for me to fill in my comments because I couldn't find anything bad to say about any of the dishes. What about the children? Do you think they're taking after you? Do they like the cooking thing?
I hope not, but
You're not going
my
to
daughter for
recommend
sure
it.
not. Maybe she's gonna learn like cooking few stuff, and it's good for her life in general, because she's right now she's 7 and she's
I was
moving
like
in.
my niece, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. If she wants to be, I mean, she's 8 actually. She was 7.5. She's 8 now. If she want to be a chef or she want to be involved with food, she would be already involved in a different level. Because when I was 7.5, 8 years old, I knew how to make a duck à l'orange, an orange
Wow, you
duck.
had the flair.
I didn't know how to really make it, but I was reading and I was executing the recipe correct. And, you know, if they have it, they have it. I don't want that I have any kind of studies like everybody. You want to be a lawyer or nothing, or you want to be a doctor or nothing. They can be anything they want.
To be, yeah.
I teach them as much as I can with Angie that they have to do it well. And if for any kind of reason like me, someone doesn't appreciate what they do with a craft in Greece, this place called Earth has no borders. They can take their bags if they are hairdressers, if they are masseurs, if they are trainers, and they go anywhere where someone will appreciate what they do. So this is the only thing I teach them, nothing else. And I embrace the idea of do something with passion, even though if people they don't understand. They will come, I mean, it will come a day that they will definitely understand, they will admire you the way you cannot feel it right now. Just do it with passion. Anything you do.
You spend a lot of time with them. I mean, I follow you on Instagram, and I mean, your life looks exhausting, but because it contains all the ingredients that are so important to you, it looks like you're really enjoying it.
I do enjoy my life. I was struggle for the last 2 years because it was impossible to fit in my schedule 19 restaurants and make them the same sharp that I was aiming to do.
And how many miles?
I never count miles, but honestly, when I come back from a trip, let's say in the States, and I'm 19 hours on the airplane, the only thing recharges me is spending time with them. And I do. I'm not going sleep. I'm not one of the dads that I'm busy. I try never to say to them that how tired I am. I do say to Angie, but even though if I say to Angie, I prefer spending time with her on a theater or in a weekend rather spending time on my bed or seeing a football game. For some reason, I'm not criticize anyone who do that.
Just
but,
not for you.
But I feel that the life is so short and I don't want to spend it on a bed or on a football match. I want to spend it with people that I love the most. And this is something that recharged me 100%. I've seen myself more motivated and more energetic rather than spending 2 times on a bed. It's almost like a depression to me. I mean, people they say, "Oh, you're so successful now. You can take a retirement much earlier." I say, "Really? This is a curse for me. What is retirement? I don't really understand the retirement."
Yeah, it's a bizarre concept.
There is a box that I collect my life, and the money, and one day I will open the box, and I will spend the rest of my money and my life. This is what you call
growing.
Yeah. This is what you call retirement. I don't want that box. Thank you. I hope that if the day comes that I will pass away, I will do exactly what I enjoy to do. I will spend time with people that I love, doing the thing I want. If this is a restaurant, it's a restaurant. If fishing with my son, fishing with my son. Dating my wife, dating my wife. I want to do this thing that I do right now constantly until I pass away. I mean, this will be a bless for me.
Athinagoras, thank you so much. I mean, there's so much in there to unpack, but I'm hopeful that because this is the beginning of a fruitful cooperation with you in Cyprus and at Trilogy, that we will have many opportunities to chat again.
Anytime. Thank you for the time.
I do want to ask you, because you've worked in Cyprus long enough now, is there one thing you would change if you could? Is there one thing that sort of you find really frustrating when you're here or working with us?
Not with you in general. I think that people in Cyprus, they just feeling that what anything belongs to Cyprus is not good enough. So I've seen
Okay.
all these suppliers supplying me things that they import
From
away and abroad.
Okay, interesting.
Why you don't really being proud of what you produce in Cyprus? I was always constantly tell them like, what you grow up in your gardens? Say nothing. Say, what do you mean nothing? I've seen so many nice things. First time in my life, I understand what halloumi cheese is. When I came here, they were treating me a gummy cheese that is ridiculously bad when I was abroad, and now I found the real
Rubber.
halloumi. Yeah. Why you say that you don't have good things in Cyprus? So if I could change something in, let's say, 2 years time from now, I would bring, let's say, 60-70% of the sources to Trilogy, to Musa and Oris from the local market. I know that maybe you don't breed beefs,
Fair,
and I understand that. I mean, not even Greece breed beefs, but you have great oregano. Why you import one? You have amazing olives, smaller, tasty. I mean, the taste of these olives is great. Why we have to import vegetables? Your vegetables are soilless. They're like dry but very intense. And I love this idea of having more and more of local ingredients that are good. And I hope they will be consistent. I think that that's the biggest, let's say, not great moment when when I work in Cyprus, that everything is important. You can't use it that. We don't import it.
We have a bit of an issue with our identity sometimes, and insecurity perhaps from all the changes and the occupation and the international community. Sometimes we shift based on
Plus the comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the youngest Cyprus audience being more comfort. I think I can only see so many similarities with London. Like youngest people, they don't really go to grow any vegetables. They don't really go out to farm. They don't use the line of wild fish and sourcing the fishes. They rather go into Tesco and big companies to buy their stuffs, even though if they don't know where they came from.
No, but you know how beautifully perfect they look and how big they are. That's always a little bit
Concern me
dubious.
so much.
I know.
Really, it concerned me because I was always thinking that the vanilla life, it belongs to America until I went to California, where 80% of my vegetables being growing in the garden next to my restaurant, and they farm and they grow up their own animals, and they have amazing biological cheese. And when I see the local markets of Calabasas or Little Venice or Malibu or Santa Monica, I realize that the people who are growing the vegetables, they are very famous entrepreneurs that they decide to change life and they just became farmers. Why in Cyprus they don't? Why, it's small things that change life. They're looking for an alternative life in this city. For what? They have so many beautiful things. I mean, I'm one of these persons who, for some reason, whenever I feel something that I don't like, I've just changed the destination. I'm not changing, the destination so I can live there.
Yeah.
I change myself. I relocate myself. So this is an advice for the youngest, let's say, Cypriots, and if I could change that destiny to the trilogy, I will do it.
And three words that describe Cyprus to you.
Authentic, extremely hot,
Apart from this week, you chose the time to come.
and really family-oriented. In the good and the bad part. Like, there's always a bad and a good
The
part.
yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that one day in the distant future you can call some of us family as well, because
I hope too. For me,
it's very exciting for us.
that's the goal. I mean, every single of my restaurants, and I mean that even from Mexico, it describes a version of myself, and it's so emotional sometimes, traveling miles and miles away, and all of a sudden you step somewhere that feels home. And there's a specific vibe that makes me to feel home. So I hope that I will create this vibe here in Limassol.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And all the best for your 2 new babies.
Thank you.
And for everybody watching, Musa is now open at the Trilogy Plaza, obviously depending on when you're watching this podcast. But please do pop by and visit Trilogy. We're going to have links with lots of information under the podcast. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Destination Cyprus. Destination Cyprus, brought to you by Cybarco.